I like how this picture has nothing to do with Magic the Gathering. Like, you would look at it and you wouldn't think of that at all. It just looks like some random assemblage of shit that, like, some middle schooler put together in, like, computer class to get a failing grade when they were bored or whatever the fuck. Like, some art project. Using, like, clip art or something from back in the day. It's so shitty, but it is my official only channel art for Magic. Like, at least I have one for stuff now, and before I would just kind of do shit randomly. And this has been such a long series that it kind of justifies it, but it's almost like a premise picture, not like the term that I would use it when I was a film critic, like, oh, you know, it's a movie that has like a good premise. Like, wouldn't it be funny if Arnold gets pregnant or something, whatever that movie is with Danny DeVito? Haha, so funny, but then it doesn't go anywhere, right? I'm trying to think of some good examples. So it means it's a movie that relies on the premise, like they pitch it in the meeting, and you can almost imagine it like, wow, that's such a cool idea, let's make it. But then they don't have any inspiration behind it. They just rely on the premise like, oh, that's so cool and interesting, but they don't go anywhere. But here, this means something else, like it's a premise picture, literally, but like it has a cool idea behind it, like, oh, it's funny, I like green so much, and I like dinosaurs, and he's mistaking a tree trunk for a dinosaur's leg, and you got the annoying wisp that I hate so much, which even my wisp here is at least better than the fucking wisp in the game. But the point is that the idea behind it is cool, but the actual execution of the picture itself is not very good. So today we're going to put the green and the dinosaurs kind of on the hot seat a little bit. Just the fact that geological appraiser, more like me, right? When I'm looking at all these fucking dinosaurs and fossils and stuff, I'm going to do a little round robin thing. As long as we get the quest done, I don't mind. Black or red, white or black. There's too much black stuff that I don't even use black. What the fuck? White or black? But yeah, I'll give each deck like one chance, then we'll do the best of 3 thing. We already did our draft, but what's kind of interesting here is, maybe because I haven't spent anything on a shitty cosmetic the way I sometimes do, I did a 10k draft right when the expansion came out, which was only a couple weeks ago, right? So now I can almost do another one, which is pretty rare that I can do that. Whether that's because I just play so little, not that I've been playing more now, or whether that's... I really wish you could get this with in-game currency, just because I don't want to break my free-to-play thing. I'm doing this kind of like how I did Hearthstone, although I'm not playing it nearly as much as like when that first came out, but that's that amazing story I always tell. What new card game is going to take GTA 6 away from me? Because like GTA 5 came out right when I got my beta key for Hearthstone, so then I decided to play Hearthstone over, so they were both new, but I decided to play Hearthstone over GTA 5, which shows you not anything negative about GTA 5, although there were some really boring missions in the campaign at the beginning that, like, you're at the dock with Trevor. It's like, what the fuck am I doing, dude? Like, I'm moving like a crane at the dock. Like, what does this have to do with anything? But the point is that I would rather have played Hearthstone than that, which shows you how good Hearthstone was, or how big of a fan I am of card games and stuff like that. I don't even look at it like, oh, because I'm a fan of the Warcraft universe. Like, sure, there's some fan service there, but I think I'm fairly objective with that. I'm not going to say something's good automatically just because it has to do with that. But, like, Heroes of the Storm, for example, or some dumb shit like that. Just because you're familiar with the universe and the IP, obviously that helps, but I was just sort of craving a digital card game, period, because I would always play those Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan-made ones, like the... Wait, is there another Ghalta now? No, I think that's just a different picture for it, right? So I'll craft another mythic just to get the fucking alternate art. Is that actually what you would have to do, too? Wait, so it wants me to do black, which is confusing. Because I just don't have... Maybe it'll inspire me to make a black deck. Or I literally let the game decide, because this is confusing as fuck. I could do all 3 with 1, but also give it, like, some sort of rotation. Like, we'll do black, red, and green. To see which one does best. What do I have that could be black? The only thing I like for black is like those little magic mitigation cards. Like, I can't even remember. I could just do a random assemblage of cards. Like, there's nothing really that I want to do with it. I like the art and stuff, but sometimes I don't really like the style of play even with it. You know, it sort of suits me, but not completely. What is that one card? I used all my wild cards, but I kind of gave this expansion a pretty good free-to-play sort of showing, though. Like, I went with 10k gold ready to do the draft, not because, oh, I'm trying to do it optimally or whatever, but at least to give myself the chance, like, to get that full experience at the beginning, right? So at least I've done one 10k draft, I got a bunch of cards from it, I came in with a bunch of mythic wild cards, like, at least I did it the right way, right? You give yourself the best initial experience with it that you can craft whatever you want. You come in with a lot of resources loaded up. What is that one card called? It's like a 7/5 or 7 cost card that like prevents your opponent from using spells or damages them when they try to use them. It has like a pretty notable picture. I just can't find it. Or maybe I'm not looking in the historic format. You have to like go out of your way to do that. Okay, Turgrid, or however you say it, is pretty good. But actually, I don't like her. I like the Lantern. That's kind of an insult to her. Your Lantern is more interesting than you are. Just what a girl wants to hear. Where the fuck is it? It's in my green deck. I don't understand how I can't see it. It's like a guy with a hand being like sucked the life out of him or something. I feel like it costs even more than 5. Some of these planeswalkers are so shitty. Like this guy I used in an arena once. Whenever your opponent draws a card, deals 1 damage to them, destroy a creature, its controller draws 2 cards. Which might seem like, oh, that's a good synergy or whatever, but it's gonna fuck you over in a draft setting. I still always call them arenas, even though... Okay, let me see what the fuck... What the fuck is this one card? Because yeah, those are the only 2 black cards, and I happen to have them in one of these decks. I don't even know if it's this one. I kind of went back and looked through all the other dinosaurs and things too. Now this might just be a pure green deck, so clearly it'll be unbeatable. This other one is like the hybrid. This will have a couple black cards in there. It has a couple blue cards in there for the hexproof. Just totally random shit. Painful Quandary. I don't even know why I have that, just because Turgrid is kind of whatever. Cool. Painful Quandary. Can I make more of those? It's a gold card. I don't have any. Fuck. I'd love to have like 4 of those and just fuck around with it. That's gotta be one of my favorite cards in the game, even though it's not necessarily good in any way. Where did that one that I just made go though? Make sure it might be invalid, but why would it be? Why would it be like out of order? It should either be the most recent one, or I'll just do another one. Okay, so look for Turgrid chick, and then look for the Painful Quandary. What could make these decks fun is if you actually have like 4 of each of these, but I'll just make like a hodgepodge one, because honestly I'm just trying to do it for the daily quest, but I don't want it to be completely bad either. Or there's a couple good black dinosaurs too, I feel like. Painful Bond, online cards. In your hand with mana value 3 or less, perhaps regain when you... Okay, I don't want that. It was like... Yeah, let's do black dinosaurs. And I'll make even some shitty ones, like... You know... Whatever. Whatever's there, I'll just make. Whenever a dinosaur under deals damage to a dinosaur, destroy that creature. So that could be good if other people are using dinosaurs, but that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Mill 2 cards. Craft with a dinosaur, a merfolk, a pirate, and a vampire. Is that like a hypothetical craft, like with Rexar, or is it mana hexproof when the Grim Captain attacks each opponent? I can't even make it. Visage of the Dead. When it enters the battlefield, the opponent reveals their hand, choose an artifact or creature, they discard that card. Craft with 2 creatures. What is this craft mechanic? Exile the 2 from among creatures you control and or cards in your graveyard. Exile this card, return to transformed. Menace creature can't be blocked. When Dread Osiosaur enters the battlefield or attacks, you may mill 2 cards. This seems like too much trouble for what it's worth. It'll cost 6 in the end. Return a pirate card from your hand to the graveyard. Yeah, this guy's cool. This guy's okay. Primal Death. Legendary creature, Elder Dinosaur. He is rare. There aren't even any shitty ones. Like, what the fuck? Or there could be some hybrids. So literally you get like 2 dinosaurs. Again, like I said, in the whole history of the game. But obviously somebody was saying last time, okay, there's like 75k cards in the history of the game, which only like 10k or something are in here. But still, out of like 10,000 cards, black only gets like 5 dinosaurs. How can that be right? And this must be historic that we're looking at. Let me just see like what I would want to use here. See, he's not even black, but he just mentions black in there. Incriminate. Use 2 creatures controlled by the same player. Player sacrifice one of them, fine. You know, the black can kind of be annoying, but it's annoying in more of a fun way somehow than blue. Like blue will just be a ton of spells and counters and things that prevent you from doing anything, which I kind of like playing that way, but the way that people play blue is sometimes like too much of that. Like they're only playing spells and they're not playing minions at all. I guess everybody's always only playing spells, haha, because technically everything is considered a spell, even creatures. Additional cost to cast it, pay 4, sacrifice artifact or creature, destroy creature, planeswalker, fine. Death touch, whenever it attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, create a power stone token. I mean, that's fine just as a death touch, period. Until the end of turn, creature gains +2/+0. When it dies, or put into exile, return to its owner's hand. You could do one of those. Gains death touch, flying, I don't know about that. Sacrifice a creature to destroy a creature, fine. We're not gonna have like any win condition or anything. These are all gonna be shitty cards. Ego drain. Holy shit, dude. Just post a video to YouTube and people fucking lose their minds. Path of Exile community, am I right? There are certain communities that I'll just clown like that. Like, all you're doing is fucking... I find it so funny. People want to get mad just like for nothing. I don't get what they're trying to prove. With that, I guess that one was predictable though because of my history with Diablo style games, but that was fucking hilarious. Path of Exile can be like that. WoW kind of has been like that with you know, like the classic community. It's like everybody wants to act like either they're like really good or something, even though they're not and they haven't accomplished anything, or they want to shit all over everybody, but for one of two reasons. Either that person is just new at the game and they don't know what they're doing, so it's like either you can help them, or it's like they just want to do it their own way and let them do it, so it's not a big deal and you're not proving anything with hindsight bias and stuff like that. Or the other point is that maybe they just want to play a different kind of format, like, oh, you know, there's one way and only one way to do something. Meanwhile, the whole basis of what Classic has been about with the re-release has been like, let's do permadeath. Now that's something you could have done all along, but all of a sudden, oh, now that's the new gimmick thing because streamers are doing it, or because WoW, you know, Blizzard embraces it. So now what you would have considered, oh, that's a weird thing to do, why are you doing that? You should do it one way and one way only. Before they did it, or before it became common, now you're going to say the opposite. Oh, there's only one thing to do, or one way to do it, even though people had done it before. Now you're going to try to, you know, circumvent that, and then as soon as that phase is over, it's like a fad, then you'll move on to the next thing, like Season of Discovery. Now there's one way and only one way to do it. Like, I don't know. Or that's like a real life trend too. Like, oh, don't you have that new thing that's all the rage these days, that like the new iPhone 15 with one new feature from the last one that they took away and one new that they added, and then the next one will add that feature back in and take the new one away or something. Holy shit. When it enters the battlefield, mills 2 cards. Definitely milling is not my style at all, although sometimes I'll do it inadvertently just because the decks are so shitty and they end up, you know, dragging the game out. But I guess your opponents has to be equally shitty. I'll do a deck just by the coolness of the appearance of the card. Very fitting with my little card back there too. Sometimes I wish you could disenchant cards, but then I always remember how I'll fuck up my own collection if I do that. Yeah, I'm gonna have a decent sized collection just because you can't do that. Like, all these cards are not ones that I want to keep, or even ones that are they're not ones that I want to keep, or even ones that I would have made if I had the choice. The majority of them. I should do a Planeswalker just for the fuck of it, but I always have such a hard time actually keeping them alive. I'm honestly just like going by the picture. This does feel kind of shitty because I'm doing it just for I like her expression there. That's one of the ones that you always see on like the title screen. At the beginning of your upkeep, or like go join us on TikTok and you see that. At the beginning of your upkeep, you draw a card and lose 1 life. The dinosaur is pretty good. See, that's always my whole philosophy. Like, I want something well statted that ends up being coming at a cost, or if you play as green, it doesn't even come at a cost. Am I right? Fungus, always a fun archetype, I guess. The beginning of your end step, if you just descended this turn. Ravenous Gigamole. See, like, your standing here isn't great, but you're gonna have some good effects and stuff, I guess. Or you know what I should have done is just like toxic. That's one thing that maybe I even crafted some stuff for, but maybe not for black. We'll just randomly do toxic. This is the most random hodgepodge deck ever, and it's me who's talking. So maybe I've rarely won because of that. Even when I win because of my like with a deck with a mechanic like that, I end up doing it, you know, despite of it. I'll just kill them outright or something else. It won't actually be because of that. Let's just do some low cost ones. Like, I don't care. That touch toxic, pretty good combination. Sounds like a good Monday night, haha. Flying toxic, like this is actually not so bad because you're gonna get some of these through. Like, people aren't gonna always be able to react to this shit. You lose 2 life. Yeah, I don't really care about the statting though. This is kind of a confused card design. Like, it's just, you'd rather it just be something else. Flying toxic. This is a bit of a troll way to play. Toxic 1. I haven't been this disappointed by a Rat King since Dark Souls 2, where I thought he was just like a fucking regular rat, and then that was that moment where I predicted he's gonna talk shit to me because that's what all the NPCs do in the game. Like, you're not worthy, traveler, be gone, come back later kind of thing, that the guy like in the blue chapel does. Other rats have toxic 1. I mean, I can't even make it. Even the game's calling him shitty because it's like, I want just like the lowest cost ones, I guess. When it enters, create a 1/1 with toxic 1, can't block. Like, even the game is not giving him a legendary quality. The King of Rats is not a legendary. Toxic Abomination. Okay, I put, I guess, 3 in there by mistake. Wait, that's it? Those? Why am I always end up saying that? Like, this is all the toxic cards that black get. Shouldn't toxic be a black mechanic specifically? I guess there's a lot of green cards with it, but I'm just doing this in such a lazy way that I don't even want to think about it. But this is kind of a good thing. It's like a Zurich deck that's not based around trying to kill your opponent, but trying to get through some of this damage. Like, you know, get through some of this damage just for the toxic effect. And as far as I've ever seen, there's no way to actually get rid of the toxic counters. Right? That's a very insular mechanic that has nothing to do with anything else in the game. So this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen, but I'll give it a shot. Recommended in this format that you have 15 cards in your sideboard. Well, who do you think I am, dude? It's recommended in Yu-Gi-Oh! Dueling so you use character skills because you don't have any skill in real life, am I right? Yeah, let's do a best of 3 between each of these. So we'll do black, green, and red, and we'll try to show that, or we'll try to at least get to play Ghalta, because it's like the whole Sargeras meme. I get Sargeras like that first day, and then I never get to play him because I just don't get around to it, or the deck's so shitty that I end up losing before I even get to play him. Not that I expect to even win the game, right, as a result of playing him, but at least let me see what he fucking does. And it's not like, oh, I'm making a deck to try to bring out Ghalta. I'm just trying to play him like on curve, like in a normal capacity. So I don't always play hybrid decks, but when I do, they have no synergy at all. And they're predicated solely on the fact of, like, me tunnel visioning on one mechanic, like a tribal player, that can take on a meaning in multiple terms. Tribal as in, oh, I only want to use green, but then one tribalism conflicts with another. I want to use every hexproof minion in the game in one deck, or as many as I can, so then I'll use blue hexproof minions in a green only deck with green only land, and use the mana generating minions to get the other ones just because, right, I like the mechanic so much. So my love of green is overshadowed by my love of whatever, like my love of a particular mechanic. So we're gonna be looking at this pumpkin for a long ass fucking time though, because I like this idea though. Like, you'll make a flying thing and you'll keep hitting their face, and it doesn't matter even if they heal. But like, this could be pretty annoying because if they can't deal with it, which oftentimes people can't, especially me when I'm playing like he's green, my only removal is like fucking Master's Rebuke or something. Like, he's gonna ignore it as his own peril here. Toxic 1. It's not flying or anything though. When it dies or does damage or whatever. Wait, what is it? Create a 1/1. Yeah, when it dies. Okay, he gets flying for it though. That's not fair. Like, nobody's supposed to have flying ever in the game. Especially in the early game. Like, how convenient is that shit, dude? Yeah, of course. You have a thing that makes a 1/1 fucking token Speaking of being a tribal player, am I right? Additional cost to cast a spell, pay 4. Which I actually could do. Or no. Has to be additional. I could do attack with the 3 guy, and then maybe the next turn I could do that, but if all you're gonna get is a fairy token, I don't know about that. I'll use that. Oh wow, he's gonna have a token only deck, but even that I don't care about. What are you gonna try to out toxic me, dude? I'm the most toxic gamer. That was one of my titles actually, the most toxic Magic the Gathering player. Something, I can't even remember, but the only one I care about is the flying, because I can just abuse that. Right, just keep doing it through there. And even this one he wouldn't be able to block, so at least we have something going with that. So whether we kill them through the damage aspect or whether we kill them through the toxic aspect, see, sometimes it's like, it's hard to judge, right, ever in a card game, like how good is a player really, because it all comes down to your fucking deck. Like, oh, your deck is 75%, and what's the other 25% of a card game? Oh, whatever cards you draw, right? The RNG of just the card draw. So 0% is actually the player impact. The means argument that I have to readdress here. I love how nobody still rebutted some of my criticisms of that genre. Like, it always ends up just being like a fucking... I probably am gonna lose now just because of the fucking whatever. Like, I can't do anything, and I don't have anything in this deck that will let me do anything. Like, I'll just do it, I don't care. Be ironic if I could fucking get killed by toxic myself. Aggro toxic deck that, you know, can win in either way. That is kind of a cool thing. Like, if they heal, you say, fuck it, I'll just kill you with toxic. If they don't heal, then you can just kill them maybe outright. These are kind of interesting cards. Definitely very good anti-aggro stuff. Like, you know, they keep hitting you with a flying thing, but you can keep doing this. Proliferate is kind of nice, but... Why does it feel like this person has like literally a counter deck to me? I summon a little dinky flying toxic thing at the beginning and just try to get a couple hits in, and they do this fucking spam fairy shit. This dude's in the wrong expansion, wrong timeline, just like me. One ring, but then how come you can have 4 of them? Ha ha ha. There's nothing I'm really going to get that's going to win me the game. Those two can't block. This thing can only trade in. Yeah, like when you do that, you'll criticize something, right? Like a game or a genre or something that people are fans of, and then all the rebuttals are not rebuttals at all. They're like, oh, you suck, you're bad at it. But it's like, okay, I can concede I'm bad at it, but what does that have to do with the innate objective criteria-based criticism, right, that you might have? It's like if you criticize a movie, like, oh, M. Night Shyamalan sucks, or a lot of his movies are garbage. Like, well, what movies have you made? You haven't, you know, you haven't done anything, but you're not comparing himself to you or your ability as a filmmaker. You're comparing yourself to the, you're comparing yourself basically to the fact that you're able to, you know, compare it to other movies or just a standard that you have in general. Like, okay, you don't need to be a chef to tell whether fruit tastes bad or not. Like, you can still be a fair judge of it, and you're often comparing it to other high-level standards. So, like, I don't need to be a writer to say, oh, this book is good and this book is bad, or you use a certain criteria to do it. So that doesn't even make sense. But even if it did, it's like you're criticizing the person then, like, don't shoot the messenger, not the actual message. So nobody, that's what happens. You can have the same discussion for years. Like, I criticize particular thing, and they never address my criticism of that thing. Over hundreds of discussions and comments and shitting all over me, they always just say, oh, well, you suck, or you just don't get it, or you, not actually what's being said. So that kind of triggers me, not because I personally offended, I couldn't give a shit, but like, at least address what is being said, because that's sort of the short form stuff that people always do, right? They'll discredit the person saying it, but they won't actually... I'd rather die to toxic than anything else here. you know, they won't address that, but they'll try to discredit the person saying it as if that actually makes the case. So in other words, okay, that person who's saying it is a piece of shit and they suck, but what they're saying is still true, right? Two things can be true. So we could still come back and win this, but I guess at least this should help me do the daily quests like this, that we're playing a lot of low cost things. It could just be that that one went really well for them, but that card is actually really interesting. The fairy one that comes with little dinky 1/1s. If it was a green card, that would be perfect because it would counter, or it would provide for the fact that you don't get a lot of flying stuff or whatever. Or at least I tend to not have any. And like, even if I did have that, the only flying green one like that I've ever used probably is that fucking 7/7 one. Because like green doesn't always have flying, but when it does, it has a fucking 7/7/7 for 7, like +20/+20 buff with the D20 whenever it hits their face. Like, actually one of the best flying whatever things in the game, better than even most of the dragons that red gets. All right, so it kind of hijacks both categories. It's one of the best flying minions in the game, it's one of the best dragons in the game, but it's not red or white, it's actually green. Imagine sideboarding after a victory. What kind of a clown are you? And it even shows that. Like, not only does it show that I'm not sideboarding and I'm not using that mechanic, like, oh, this is a little mini hard mode format that I'm doing, like not being able to use the character skills and duel links, but on top of that, it immediately will say ready, so it means that I don't even have the option to sideboard. Like, I don't even have a sideboard. So look at that, dude. Forget about the quality of the decks overall and stuff like that. These best of 3 things are pretty entertaining, though. I love this so much as a format, and I always say that other games should have this in there, because even like chess and stuff should have that in there, because even in real tournament matches and stuff, they're not going to do a best of 1, right? It's always like, oh, best of whatever, first to 12 or some crazy format like in the World Championship. Because one game, well, I guess see, in chess is to counteract the black and the white stuff. Every player has to get an equal number of tries as black and white to make it fair, because otherwise the other player has an objective advantage. So as much as it seems perfectly balanced, it's not at all, right? White has objective advantages in chess. It's the same thing here, like whether whoever goes first, or whether to equalize the RNG of drawing and stuff. Person literally takes longer to sideboard than I do in a fucking draft. That's why my drafts are so shitty, I guess, but just let me get some stuff off here. But yeah, that whole synergy of toxic and flying I do enjoy, because to whatever extent you can do it, sometimes people just aren't going to have an answer for it. But this person clearly has an insane number of answers with all these little tokens that they can get out so easily. Come on, bro. Like, unless they get that flying thing, though, maybe they can't do anything about it. Like, you may as well just do this, because I'm never going to be able to deal with the token otherwise. Like, so just fuck it. So stupid, man. And that one even is flying, too. Like, I'm done, dude. This is the most hard counter thing that you've ever seen in your life. Not that it takes much to counter such a shitty deck, but if you look at the specific way, right, it's one thing, okay, I'm just going to lose. They have better value cards. They're going to heal. I get it, but why does it have to be like they countered exactly what I was doing? They not only get tokens a lot in the early game, but they get flying fucking tokens in abundance, like with that other card. I just have to do it because I have no other way of ever getting rid of that. So like, what the fuck am I doing? You know, the best toxic card is that fucking green one, though, with trample and hexproof and haste and stuff. Like, where it has like toxic 4 or something, and it just can hit them right away that same turn that you summon it. That could be amazing. Especially if you have like 4 of them. This is no good. Like, this matchup was just deflating, but please tell me at least I did the daily quest within these. I shouldn't be allowed to do it if I couldn't do it here. So if I really played 20 cards between these 2 games, it doesn't really feel like it. That's one reason not to resign, just to make sure you get as much ticked off for your daily quest. Like, their hands may be drying out a bit, but I don't know. dies, proliferate, which now wouldn't even do anything, right? Because they don't even have a counter. Or sometimes proliferate can help them, right? If they have a beneficial counter, then they get more of that too. Or you get to choose if they have more than one, but are you 2 creatures controlled by the same player? 1/3 whenever creature enters field, you gain 1 life. Which is not at all what it does. Whenever a token that you control, right? Sometimes I just paraphrase and change the whole meaning of it, but you know what it means. So stupid, man. I can't. At least the pace of this one's better. If they can't do anything, you know, if they burn out of stuff, then maybe I can do something. For example, flying now would be good because at least these ones don't have flying. Ladies first, am I right? Haha, there's no other special meaning to why I would kill that one. Yeah, looks like a bit of a clown. What is he doing? He like holding a tray of fucking wine? Why is he oh, I guess he's just a human. He's not like a knight or anything. Permanence players gain additional counter. There are no counters. There is no such counter. Like if you were to fucking Lord of the Rings role play over here. There's so many like good MMOs that I've played like over the course. Like I've done this Saturday format starting this year basically, where I play like once a week a game that I've never played before. So there's so many fucking series I could start. Like people would get upset like, oh, you only play that game one time just to like bait for viewers or whatever. Haha, I played this game for the first time, which I do consider a bit of a bait, and I always dislike that sort of format. But it's a case where you kind of feel like, imagine if I did make a series out of all of them, it would literally take fucking forever. So EverQuest could be a series that could go on for months, or you know, get from 1 to max level without dying, that kind of permanent thing, or EVE Online, or Path of Exile, or Lord of the Rings Online, or Star Wars The Old Republic. Like there's so fucking many of these. How are you supposed to do them all? Even if I was a big streamer and I was making I could have done that actually, but even if I was a big streamer and I was making a full-time living and doing it as a job and all these kind of other things, it would still be difficult to do it that way. So whatever. I should have maybe solved it out a little to see if I could do the quest, but we could do the best of 3 and then the best of 1 or something. I like to do it still within some sort of format with some sort of stake to it, but obviously that was disgustingly bad. Actually, that was not bad though. We almost did it. That was kind of a fun deck concept, at least. Not that I've used Toxic that much. I maybe used more of a Toxic green deck when I did. Or you could always do a green-black hybrid would probably be the best, or at least give you the most options for it. But no, I shouldn't say best. Like in Function, the best is always some weird combination of crazy shit. So it'll be like actually white with some cycle through thing, like some crazy combo that I don't even know about. But you don't really see Toxic that much for whatever extent. Magic is such a clout chasing clown game though, Arena at least. Like they try to use TikTok and Instagram, and they try to use Post Malone and My Little Pony. Like is there no depth to which they won't sync to try to fucking do crossovers and shit? That's why it's only 6 out of 10 on Steam reviews, I guess. I was actually stunned by that. I wouldn't have thought it was that bad at all, but see, the way people play it is maybe, the way I play it is maybe more conducive to having fun. Like you're just playing historic and all kind of crazy stuff. Of course, if you play the game longer and more often, I'm sure you wouldn't be satisfied with just doing one thing like that, but whatever. Like there are many ways to appreciate. If you wish to really appreciate the Magic, you must study all its aspects, not just the dogmatic view of the meta or the player base or the newest expansion and stuff. If you went 0 and 2 with that one, it'd be cool if I could get the black in just from playing it like with green, but then we would have to do that one. Whatever, I'll do this. Or wait, is maybe, I don't know. There's like blue, there's like red. That's all I really care to do in these episodes. As long as I do the daily quest, I'm happy. Because for a while there, I actually wasn't even doing that. Either I wasn't playing long enough, or I was kind of tunnel visioning on just like, I just want to play as green and green only. So which means I can't obviously do the daily quest all the time. Or that could be a real life achievement that you get, like read every bit of flavor text on every Magic the Gathering card in the whole game. Or like, is there somebody, I'll actually Google this, is there somebody who owns every single Magic card game in history, card in the history of the game? not saying like every version of it, like if there's a super rare one, but like who owns every Magic card. Missouri MTG, avid collector, claims to have bought every Magic the Gathering card ever printed, including some of the most rare foil cards most players have never seen in person. Well, you better sell that collection for like a fucking $1 trillion, because what else? You can't take it with you, dude. You get the one Ghalta, but it's not the right Ghalta. Or like I could throw these on purpose to make it a tie so that black gets another chance. So we go 0-2 with all of them. Not clearly because I'm just so bad or my decks are so bad. Isn't that like the same thing you could say in chess though? It's like, I'm not, well, it's a little bit different because you're not going in with like a set criteria of like the deck that you're using, but it's like, I use like really shitty openings, or I just don't use openings at all and I don't know opening theory. So it's not that I'm a bad chess player, you see, it's that the resources that I have available are less. Not just because I don't know things, but I choose to use something improvisational and stupid. It's the same thing here. It's like, oh, I'm not bad at Magic, I just choose to use shitty decks that are just themed and gimmick and fun or whatever, because like I don't really care. The old entry is consent analogy, like, you know, I gotta write like a fucking short story about that one again. It's like a club that'd be NSFW. I'd be banned from Twitch for doing it. I used to do some pretty crazy shit, but I guess when you're a small streamer, nobody cares, or maybe people weren't as sensitive back then. Probably a combination of both. But also, and, you know, and it's just all like fiction and you're not really doing anything. You're just talking about shit, but people still get upset. But no, it's like, if you simply play a game, right? That's how sometimes people perceive it. You play chess. That's it. You're just playing the game. You come home from work, you're fucking playing chess. Now it could be, oh, because you're streaming it or whatever, and I always hold that to a high standard. I guess I owe Alex Both has an apology then. It comes full circle. She's just playing chess. It doesn't mean that she's trying to be the next world champion or trying to be the best she can possibly be. But I think with that, there comes a little bit of responsibility to at least try to get better when you are, you know, so popular and stuff like that. And you might think, oh, that's kind of counterintuitive, like, oh, it's not your fault that you're popular, you just happen to be. But there is a certain standard that I hold to that anyway. But the real point being that you know, by simply playing it doesn't mean that you're trying to be a professional player, best player in the world, or trying to get better, things like that, right? You're not necessarily trying to do that. Now, when your whole income comes from it and when you're so famous for it, okay, I would take it as an onus that you should take some responsibility and try to get better and actually, you know, measure yourself that way. So either you feel like that person doesn't deserve it because they're not good enough, or you feel like that person, because they have that much fame, should at least try to live up to it or encompass it and surpass it by trying to, again, be the best they can and improve. And when you see their priorities aren't on that, and when their priorities are just on content and things like that, then you don't really like it as much because you feel like there's something disingenuous with that. You want to have your success and fame, but you also don't want to put in the work to really feel like you earn it too, even when people feel like you didn't earn it in the first place because you got it for other reasons that have nothing to do with the game itself. So the game then is nothing but a prop to you to be used as just a tool for clown and things like that. So that's number one. But then number two, Diablo style games and Alex both have lived rent free in my head, but it's not rent free, haha, because of all the shit that people would give you. Not that it, again, doesn't really bother me, but it bothers me on a different level, right? Not like, oh, you know, how could people say all this shit to me or whatever, but how can people be so dumb sometimes, right? Like there's that in character RP expression that I made, like the absolutist story, like the dude's like, you know, I'm not offended by what you said, but I'm offended that such stupidity could exist as part, like, that I'm part of a species that would be capable of uttering such stupidity in the first place, right? That I am the same being as you, that we are capable of such idiocy. That just offends my whole existence. But what was the first point? I was saying like how, yeah, it comes down to the means that you're using. Yeah, so like just because you play League doesn't mean you're trying to be the next Faker. Just because you play chess doesn't mean you're trying to be Magnus Carlsen. And so there are other ways you can appreciate games where it's like a very it's a very player-driven experience. So even if you want to value it in a zero-sum way, like, oh, well, of course, you're trying to play to win, you're trying to play the best you can, but it's kind of a hard thing to explain, I guess. There are different ways you could approach something, basically. So I wouldn't look at it like, oh, you're trying to gatekeep people, like, oh, you're only allowed to play a certain way, or you're only allowed to do a certain thing, or you're only allowed to use what is best and what is meta and things like that. Sure, a lot of people do that. Even the majority of people, or at least the majority of people, have the delusion that they're going to do that, even though they still don't get anywhere. So that's the really sad part. But no, it's not always a net zero-sum thing, like where you're measuring it just based on ability. Although when you use as shitty decks as me and stuff like this, then that person might be doing the same thing, but then at least it's a fair matchup, like theme deck, gimmick deck versus the same. So you could be always a new player who just started playing. That's not fair. You're picking on them, but it's not like I'm building this in any optimal way at all. You would think I would have liked this expansion even a little more, but I was a little bit disappointed by either the dinosaur count or the quality of them, or something was just not right. I've done two things on this new channel. Well, actually, probably a lot more than that, but two things on this new channel that I didn't like, that I almost said I wouldn't do. Yeah, next I'll be doing fucking face cam and reacting to movies or something. Am I right? Like all those movie channels I make fun of, that they're just sitting there. Wow, look at this thing that just happened. Not giving insightful commentary, just like, you know, just giving a first impression that you can live vicariously through that. Sitting on a boat while watching Jaws, am I right? That one chick, at least that's pretty fucking hilarious. Like you're trying to RP with what you're doing. But no, the two things. I've started a second channel where I upload like a spam amount of shit, where like I try to keep up with all these series. Like every week I'll upload an episode of Magic, or every week I'll upload my episode of Hearthstone. I don't like doing that because it feels like throwaway content that you're just sort of spamming. Like, you know, you're just doing it. So it's like quantity over quality, almost like how the combat is in a Diablo style game, am I right? But you're doing quantity over quality of shit just to do it. And you might say, oh, that's what you're doing on stream anyway. But that's maybe the second thing, is like, no, that's the third thing. So number one is just spam content in that sense that isn't really quality over quantity. Secondly, it's the fact that I'm doing this secondary series of main series. So like Magic and Hearthstone and card games and chess and stuff like that would always be a small little hour, 2 hour, whatever session after a longer stream of my main series, like a story game or a hard mode. So I would do one of those for like 4 hours, and then one of these for like an hour or 2 hours to wind down the stream. This person keeps fake AFKing at the beginning. But it would always be secondary, so that wouldn't be the emphasis. But now that's become all I do because I don't have time for the main category, right? I don't have those 4 hours and stuff. So the secondary series becomes the main series, and there is no main series, or it's very limited or only on certain days. So that I don't like either. And then the third thing I don't like is the fact that I maybe have played like shit in a lot of playthroughs. But no, it's like, I can't remember even. Oh yeah, it's that Saturday format that I do in the first place, like where it is sort of like bait content. Like I played this game for the first time, so it's like, what is really notable about that? Like, oh, you just happen to play a game, so who cares? But that's like living vicariously. You'll bait in new viewers every time you do that, right? You're playing all these different games for the first time, and people aren't watching because you're good, or because it's merit-based, or anything like that, or you're doing anything notable and interesting, or world first, or whatever. You're just playing a game. So it's neither impressive or unimpressive. It's just not noteworthy at all. So why even do it, right? It's exactly the sort of thing that I would criticize or say is stupid. Meanwhile, that's all I've been doing, like, or uploading at least. But it's the kind of thing that, in a way, you should do. But in my principle, the way I think, I would hate to do it, but I'm still doing it. You see, it's a lot harder to do. Well, I guess it depends. Like, you could do a committed series, like, oh, I'm uploading this one series over and over, and people really like that and get nested with that. So it creates a sense of familiarity. Like Binding of Isaac by Northern Lion, like I can play in 1,000,000 episodes. That can be good on one hand, but on the other hand, it can be good to keep doing different ones, because I guess when you're a small channel and you don't have a ton of a following, it's better to do random things, because you'll keep baiting different communities for views. Like, oh, you know, you play this one game one time and then you get a lot of views for it, and then you do another game for the first time, and that's it. But that's not really why I was doing it. It's just more like a paranoia, like, oh, what if this game goes offline and it gets delisted? Which a lot of games, I was even using that site to determine what I would play on Saturday. I would look up delisted games and like look, oh, this week, next week, this game's going offline, so I'll play that before it goes offline, right? So I kind of stopped doing that lately, but there's so many great games out there that I never did play. And I always feel like I try not to rush it or anything. Like I'll just do it whenever I feel like, just to, you know, I'm never in a hurry to just do something right when it comes out. Well, we don't control another dinosaur, put a stun counter on it. So at least this one did better than the black. We'll do a loser's bracket today, more like just a daily quest fucking bracket where you just get to whatever. That was my longest stream in a while though. It was like on Thursday, this past Thursday, where I just kind of did 3 categories and it was actually kind of good. Like I can't remember. That one didn't even seem like it was that lopsided in my favor, but thanks for saving me the time, dude. You go 0 and 2 with black, 2 and 0 with the green. What did I do? I did WoW in the middle, and then I did something at the end. I did ARC at the beginning, WoW in the middle, and PvZ at the end. So I was doing 3 days worth of streams, or I guess 2 days, because WoW wasn't really part of my schedule. But yeah, like that's an unofficial series. That's sort of still something I want to do every once in a while whenever I have time. Is just an episode of that season of Discovery. So whenever I can sneak it in there. Yeah, those 2 we did. We still didn't get to play Ghalta though. That's what I mean. Like even when I win, I lose. So we'll do best of 3 with red, and then we'll just do best of 1, and that better complete the daily quest. Otherwise, I don't give a shit. Yeah, that gives you experience for the reward track thing too. So that would allow you to try to get that red dinosaur thing. I don't care about that one as much as I cared about the Tim Burton one, though. That one was God tier. This one, if it happens, it happens just from doing the daily quest. You would think doing the daily quest once a week, 3 daily quests a week for the entire expansion would be enough to get to rank 35, which is what you have to do to get that orb if you're doing it free to play. But I don't know, because I'm only level 9. But then I think the amount of experience you need to get levels doesn't really change. It's almost like always 1,000. It's not like how games traditionally work, where, you know, it keeps getting more steep the higher you get. It was kind of a crossroads moment though, where like everything had to do with dinosaurs. We got dinosaur focused expansion to Magic the Gathering. We're doing Ark Survival Evolved. Then we were doing something with dinosaurs in some other game too. I can't remember. What was it? Huh. I swear there was like a third one too. Let's see which of your friends are playing right now. That one guy's always online. I think class 9 kills Storm. Doesn't show you like the ranks or anything. I love how I should read some of those actually. How much people shit on this game on Steam. Like I would actually disagree with them. I think it's a really good game, but I think what I'm being spoiled by is the fact that I never played Magic in any form before. So I'm giving it credit for like, you know, just Magic period. Not the specific version of the game itself. So it must be that, oh, there's other better versions of Magic you can play, and this particular one is too much of a bait when it comes to microtransactions or something like that. So what's funny is my style of play ends up actually benefiting the game that way, because I don't really care. Like I'm not in a rush to use the meta stuff. If you started me with the best deck in the game from day one, I wouldn't even enjoy using it, because it would be like too much too fast, right? I want to slowly work my way towards it. I want to have something to build towards. I don't want to have the best cards right away. Even if I do get my ass beat, that's okay. Like, yeah, 6 out of 10 from 6851 reviews. And it is, let's see what some of the most recent ones are. TLDR, 570 hours played. You know, in a way, I almost would want to see, like, how long have I played it, but I can't because, or maybe you can. I don't play it on Steam, right? I play it on the Magic client itself. But, yeah, how do you actually see that? Magic the Gathering, Arena, see time played. Total playtime. Is there a way to see? Magic third-party tracks time played. If you subscribe to the newsletter, whatever. I mean, I could do it just based on my streams themselves, like see how much time I've streamed the game. Which would be the same amount of time I played it, because I don't think I've ever played it on stream, aside from maybe doing the tutorial the one time, whatever. And even that might have been, no, that wasn't on stream. That was like many years before. I did it last year for the first time. Yeah, let's look through some of these negative Steam reviews, not to troll this person, but just kind of came to mind here. It's not going to hurt my optimal plays clearly. This is an unfair matchup. He has the type advantage because it's water versus fire. Okay, put this down. Put this down. Treasure. Oh, fuck, I can't do it. I always get baited by this guy. You know, it makes you think you can play stuff that you actually can't play. Or actually, I probably shouldn't have done that. Not gonna have a man to do that, so I don't know why I even did it. And that ends up helping your opponent just, whatever, draw a bunch of cards. This one doesn't look too promising here. That is a pretty sick piece of art there. You can't like really craft these or anything, so you only get them through microtransaction type stuff or mind jumps. Even though I don't like playing as blue, that is pretty awesome. I like the ones that like don't even have text on them. Like it would just be, I think there are a few like that. It would just be the picture and nothing else, and you would just know from it instinctively that, you know, what it has to do with. It's like some sort of a, what's it called, like that game with pictures or whatever, like you guess what the thing is, guess what the land is based on the picture. So it would be a swamp and you won't be able to tell, like something between the swamp and the forest, and you won't be able to tell whether it's black or green or whether it's both. Okay, I don't think this is gonna go too well. A sad day when PvZ Heroes has more, the PvZ card game has more sense of personality than fucking the Magic one. Okay, it doesn't mean we're gonna lose. We can go 2-1 with this one, or at least 1-2. I don't want to go 0-2 with this. Then we'd have to do a tie break between these to see which, yeah, it'll be like battle for the bronze, right? Green already won because it went 2-0, whereas this one went at least at best 2-1, and the other one went 0-2. So green is already the champion of the day. Big surprise. Not that I've even spoiled the collection that much by making always green cards. I've made a lot of other cards that aren't green. And just remember, the overarching format of the series, really the only true format, aside from like, oh, I have to get like the fucking pumpkin pet, or I have to delete my account, which wasn't even like a true thing. Or not the pumpkin pet, the lantern guy, the first thing that I flirted with last October. And I was waiting for him all year, and then they didn't give him back to me this October, so I just got the pumpkin out of frustration, I guess. But basically, it's the fact that I want to collect or craft every green card in the game, but that doesn't mean, you know what I mean? Like, you would think, oh, then I should have only crafted green cards since then, but I haven't done that. I've crafted whatever the fuck I felt like, including black, including red. Like, I'll get there eventually. So in order to keep myself entertained to craft every green card, it requires me not to craft every green card to keep myself from getting burnt out, so that then I can eventually craft every green card. It's like an opposite interpretation psychological tendency. Like, in order to become better at chess, I had to not, like, you know, in order to become a grandmaster, I had to stop playing for a while, and then I had to use the Star Wars piece set, and then I had to listen to music, and I had to do all these things that seem suboptimal and that would hurt you and your ability to play, but it actually helps you because psychologically it keeps you engaged, right? So using the Star Wars piece set isn't distracting and a gimmick and stupid. It actually keeps the game fun, because the alternative would be, yes, you might play at a higher level and be more focused, but then you get burnt out and bored and stop playing. So which is better, to do gimmicks to try to keep yourself engaged, or to do it only in a hardcore elitist sense, in a raw sense, and then be so dry and then be so bored that you end up not even wanting to do it in the first place, right? That's more important. All chess and no study makes me a blunderful boy, or all play and no study makes me a blunderful boy. The little Shining reference there. Somebody made like a fucking Shining Hallmark card that was pretty funny. I could show that. I should turn this into a just chatting kind of thing where it's just you know, you're fucking let me show you the memes of the day, the TikToks of the day, the clearly the best, most refined form of content ever, almost as good as watching me play a card game. Like where the like SS Sniper Wolf or whoever would just like, let's react to videos that other people have done, like funniest videos on the internet or scary videos or whatever, and it'll be like, you know, just I don't know what good any of these are. They're all pretty shit value. I mean, I probably have the worst value dragons out of the bunch anyway, but even if I didn't, then, you know, they're still pretty bad for what they are. Actually, I could have attacked there, but yeah, either that kind of content or like let's react to people's TikToks or little short videos, daily dose of internet. Like, I'm not bashing it completely, but I feel like that's so, there's no sense of propriety to it. Like, you're just using somebody else's content, and that's the content, and then your reactions to it or whatever. At least here is whatever. In any gameplay context, at least you can have the pretension like, oh, I'm playing at a high level, or it's instructive, or it's interesting, or it's my own little experience, and you can live vicariously. Even that's a low level, but even beneath the vicarious stuff, it's just like this banal. It's like what talk shows are about, or like whatever kind of dumb shit people watch on TV. I don't care. I'm not throwing, but I don't see what my win condition really is. Let's do a best of one then match between the losers here. Battle for the bronze here. Imagine if that was the lethal dose there. Like, I'd rather you just be a 4-mana 4/4 than that shit. The one thing you never see from me is like those infinite loop crazy one-turn combos that just win you the game just like that, or reverse the fortune, because I normally don't have the cards like that or any sort of synergy between my cards at all. It's only fair. Fire beats water. I mean, water beats fire. Yeah, it's like you always get credit, like, oh, you found this funny thing and you showed it off, so therefore you get credit for it, even though you didn't make it. It's like the OK Boomer, right? Nigolo does like a little dance to OK Boomer, and so you almost think, oh, she must have made the song, that's why she's so popular. She sung the song, good for her. With that amazing bar, like, I must say 10-4 dinosaur. Actually, really good line. Something of a music expert than I am. Philip Glass, am I right? But basically, what the fuck is going on with this? It can't handle the ineptitude that it just witnessed. But basically, it is, you're taking credit for the song almost, because that's maybe the first and only time people had seen it up to that point, and they're getting exposure that way. And so it feels like all you're doing the easy part, like, oh, just dancing or whatever. And then they're doing the hard part, actually making the song. Not that I'm even that impressed by that either, but it's just like you're not really doing that much yourself. So it's like, how can you cheat having to actually do something as much as possible? And so that's what even a lot of these big creators do. Like, you look at XQC or somebody who's like, oh, he's so big and so accomplished. He was an esports player at one point, but then you use that not to say like, oh, you're popular and you're gonna be successful because of your esports career, and this is why people know you, even in the streaming context. You're gonna do the opposite. You're gonna betray that standard and say, now that people are familiar with me and I've gotten exposure from that, now I'm gonna stop doing it or trying to live up to any sort of standard of meritocracy, and now I'm gonna watch fucking videos on TikTok and YouTube and stuff. So you couldn't have gotten away with that before, arguably, because people are like, why the fuck would I want to watch somebody watch TikToks and stuff? But because they know you and you're familiar and you got that exposure, now they will. So you're just using it as a benchmark for that, which is kind of sad. I mean, Alex Botez to the T, where you would say just the simple fact that you're able to, you know, you get to an okay level at chess, you know, 2100 FIDE or whatever, right? Which is fine. But then you use that, oh, let's make a career out of that. So I guess she could defend it and say, well, the alternative would have been I would have just stopped playing chess and done a job and done a career. And of course, she's a brilliant marketer, so that would have been fine. But I mean, it's free to a point. These are all the magic things. Let me actually look at that for a second. What was it? Shining. It was like some stupid Hallmark card. Would that actually show up? It was like on some stupid article that I had seen. Uh, Fuck, I can't even find it now. I gotta do my React fucking whatever. I guess we could show this though, at least, or I don't know what's going on. It's a 0 out of 10 game. I'll put a negative review on Steam myself, even though I'm not playing it on Steam. Like, does that count? Am I not allowed to review then? Oh no, the endless loop continues. It's never really crashed like that, where it just keeps doing it on a loop there. So let's do here a little just chatting portion of the stream, which is just to say that fucking we can show off a couple of those things. You know what's probably sad about that too? Even when people do just chatting content, they probably do it like where they'll still script it too. Like they really have seen something before, because how else would they know whether it's TOS or not or something? Or they have their mods checked, but then they'll script it because even their authentic reactions wouldn't be enough. They have to vet it and make sure, or like really do it very particularly and stuff like that. So this is what I saw, some sort of weird article. Screen Rant gets the Hallmark original Christmas poster. So let's see. And it does look pretty impressive. This person does like a lot of stuff like that. I don't know whether he like actually makes stuff officially. I mess around in Photoshop, but this looks like an official fucking thing that you could like actually use as a real poster. That's more impressive than just messing around. Brightly Shining, a Hallmark Channel original movie. Saturday, December 9, 8 7 Central. Jack Nicholson, Shelley Duvall. She's obsessed with work, she's longing for love, and in this winter they're still together. Partly true. I don't know why, I just thought that was interesting, but the one thing I don't sympathize with is Shelley Duvall was kind of... At the time, she complained a little bit about working with Stanley, but then she did interviews and stuff and said, oh, it's fine. And then in retrospect, she had like some issues later on in life and Dr. Phil was taking advantage of her or whatever, but then she said like all these stupid things, or no, people took it the wrong way. Like they wanted to blame Stanley Kubrick, like, oh, it's all his fault that 30 years before or however long before, I don't know when that interview was, that, oh, it's his fault and he was so mean to her. It's like, you're a professional, you're getting paid to do what you want to do, right? Whatever she went through later in life is what it is, but you know, she could have left the movie if he was treating her that badly, or you could have just not done it or not put up with it. Like you're choosing to be there. It might be a good opportunity for you, but you have to live up to it. Like, well, wasn't he a dick to Jack Nicholson then or anybody else? Like, oh, he's going easy because he's a star, or like, you know, I'm not trying to bash her, but I feel like people took that totally the wrong way. Like, oh, she's the victim and Stanley's the bad guy. Like, you don't have to fucking do the movie. Like, and then let's look at some of these. I only want to direct challenge my friend. Unfortunately, bugs still exist from years ago that made this impossible. Really? I think I've done that. The client is embarrassing in its current state, or I can't recommend it. Yeah, at least it has a custom cursor though. That's better than most card games right there. Please bring more formats. Yeah, how about like a 2v2 format or something? Paper is better. See, that's kind of the whole point. It might be, but you need the paper, both figuratively and literally, am I right? Fucking having the cards and having the money to get them. One of the best card games out there, crippled by one of the worst, most abusive monetization schemes ever. Matchmaking is designed to push you to buy. Is it though? I disagree with that though. I'm shilling for Magic Arena, but like normally it's not, because it even shows you like you're playing against a bronze player. Even in the best of 3 format, it's worse than the best of 1, but no, you normally play people around your rank. Do I recommend Magic? Yes, in person would be. Read, this is better, but this will do. The UI is fine, the game is playable, this would have more incentives to play, as well as more formats. This game actually has more formats than most card games, which is why it shows you how complex Magic is, right? This game has more formats than fucking Hearthstone or whatever, some of these other card games, arguably, right? Best of 3. Most of the card games don't have best of 3, but they're asking for more. Which is not really, oh, them being entitled. It just shows you the kind of game Magic is, I guess. Can't challenge friends. Can't load decks. Server connected. Something else. If nobody will read the reviews, I'll say, okay, dude. You almost got me there. Don't read ahead. I'm Charles Barkley. I'm a dumbass. When they put a little thing on the prompter and he just reads it mindlessly. Well, let's do most recent. But I'm stunned that this has a 6 out of 10, so clearly that's a business model issue. I will not at all acknowledge that that's the fault of the Magic game itself. Like, that's how it works. What is it, though, that they're exactly talking about? Maybe I just don't get it. the fact that they're doing all these crossovers, but that's maybe true in real life too, like the Lord of the Rings stuff. Because I saw people like opening packs in real life that they're hoping to get the ring, right? Like the one ring, like a rare one that's worth like $1 million. So that crossover element is not part of this game. It's just part of the real game too. And so I don't know. Bring more formats. The Steam port of this game is agony. I want to mill myself. Now, why should that matter? Shouldn't it just be the same fucking game? Why would it be on Steam be any different than this? Fix your game. It's free to a point. Fun and time consuming. Seems a little. It's not pay to win though. See, I hate when people use like even PvZ Heroes or something. The only way something is pay to win is if you can get something that. What's the other term? It's like pay to speed run or paid for convenience. Like you'll get there faster, but there's nothing pay to win because anything you can get, I can get too. It just takes me longer. I have to save up currency and gems and whatever, mythic wildcards and stuff like that. So pay to win would specifically mean that you can get access to something that you can't get otherwise, which the only things like that I can think of are like the adventure guy and like some of the cosmetics, right? So it's objectively not pay to win though. People say that like, you know what they mean. Like it'll take a long time to get there, clearly, but magic but free. Yeah, that's one way to look at it too. Like, in real life, you'd have to spend $1,000 on cards. Here, you don't. I've actually gotten a good collection, better than I would have gotten in real life, within any amount of money to just use. Now, it's not a real collection. That's the trade-off. It's great if you hate yourself and having time that doesn't involve staring at a screen. First of all, playing with friends is the most frustrating good thing. Maybe that's why I don't mind it, because I don't have friends. Haha. Unable to submit deck. Like, how long does it take to fix this problem? That seems to be a very common criticism people have. These are all very recent. You won't be able to play with friends. This must be a new development. What the fuck? Garbage company fixes games. What do you mean, dude? If they fix games, they're not a garbage company. He was so mad he couldn't compose what he's saying. Mid. But he still liked it. Yeah, I probably have more time played than any of these people. Or what is there an option that shows you most? Yeah. Over 100 hours. Oh, but show me way over 100. Yeah, 415. Look at some of these people, dude. They're like me. Even though I've done it over a relatively long period of time, or maybe not even, because it's only been a year. But if you love Magic, you love playing against the same decks, same five. See, that doesn't... That you must be the change you wish to see in the world, as Gandhi said. Like... it won't matter because I'm playing as a different deck, and it won't matter because I'm playing at a lower rank. So that's where the lower rank play actually becomes more fun, because you can use theme, gimmick, fun stuff yourself, and they are not always going to be using the optimal stuff because they're at a shitty rank too. Very addicted to lots of bots. Now that I can't really determine. I don't know whether there's bots or not. Like clearly there must be. Every game has that, but just from the experience of playing them, I can't be sure whether there are bots or not. Unable to submit deck. Awful matchmaking. Way too many mirror matches for it to be a coincidence. Awful shuffler. I have... Oh yeah, what was the one that said some shuffler is rigged? Was it Magic maybe? Shuffler rigged. And now that has to do more with the cards themselves. Magic the Gathering Arena Shuffler rigged. I've seen that so many times actually. What did it say? Not gonna lie, shuffler rigged? Why did I read it like that? Not gonna lie, admits the shuffler is rigged. We employ a team of people that sit downstairs at Wizards and watch all the games simultaneously to make sure the right people get mana screwed or flooded just at the right times. Well, it's not so much as a team, it's just a guy named George. We all respect George. You there, little known fact by profession that would make people lose their shit. I mean, people do seem to have some data to try to back up that there are issues with it. But you might say, well, that's just them being salty, but people don't say that in every other card game for just being salty, so there must be something to it. There are bugs with challenging other players. Nice client. Nice review. Info on how to decide. Do you want to play a game that ensures you get 50% win rate? Whatever your level, hey, I don't get a 50% win rate. I get way less than that, so that just proves it right there, because my decks are so shit that you wouldn't even believe. That crafting skills are official statement. Pseudo Elo system. Info on how to decide. What does it imply? I don't see how you can guarantee a 15% win rate. That could be a good thing if if you're high on the ladder. That's good. You win streak star bonus. Win streak abuser. 5 stars. Yeah, I wish this Steam reviews had actually a star system. It's just either thumbs up, thumbs down, arbitrary. What are we, Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel over here? This is great, but there should be a code that comes with all the physical cards and decks that lets you play as them in the game. And there should be a commander game that you unlock after the caller challenges. Yeah, certainly having every worst game on Steam. Maybe as part of this is the Steam version, but it's hard to say. First TCG, Yu-Gi-Oh! Pokemon Flesh and Blood. What the fuck is Flesh and Blood? Sadly, I'm forced to play it. No friends who live close by. Just make a deck and play with your friends online. You might think, well, that's awesome. Let's just do that. 10 attempts to play 1 or 2. I think that's the main issue. Most trash ever game, money grabbing company. Want to play the game with my friends. Issues in 2018. Unable to submit deck. That is pretty amazing. Thankfully, I haven't had that issue. This is a good one. It's great for learning the game. Always better in person. LOL. You can play Magic whenever you want. Drafting. Less life total than Planeswalker Commander Historic Brawl. You have to play Magic the Gathering Arena. Cons. And no, get the group together. Game is fun. Just build total money sink. Not enough redeeming value to warrant the excessive cost of building decks. If there is any way to disenchant... Yeah, see, okay, that's a fair point. I wasn't understanding what people meant by, like, saying that, oh, it's pay to win. Because, like, how is that different than any other card game that you have to take time to build your collection? But not being able to disenchant cards is at least legitimate criticism. Because you can do that in Hearthstone, you can do that in Yu-Gi-Oh!, you can even do that in fucking PvZ Heroes. I always use that as an outlier. Like, if PvZ Heroes does something better than your card game, something is wrong with your card game. Not because PvZ Heroes is even that bad, but because it's fucking PvZ Heroes. Like, that's not what that series is meant to be about. You know what I mean? Like, that's just them dicking around. Like, oh, let's just make a card game and whatever. Let's exploit our IP a bit more to try to cash in on it. It actually turned out to be not such a bad game, but it's like very bare bones and very casual. So if that game has disenchanting and yours doesn't, that's at least a fair point to get to why it feels like a cash grab or whatever. Let's do best of 1, and I'm mainly doing it to do the daily quest, but this is not to see which deck did best, this is to see which deck did worst. If I don't get it here, though, I almost don't even deserve it. Isn't that a weird structure, though? Like, you reward the deck that did the best by not playing as it. Not by playing as it, but by not playing as it. Interesting. The River Heralds are the nomadic bands of merfolk that live in harmony. Like, this game has so much interesting lore, too. Not to speak of all the lore that's maybe borrowed from all the expansions that they do. But, you know, you just want to see that really get... expressed in some other way, as I've said like a million times, but it is what it is. At least these are low cost cards. Generally, yeah, I didn't even see her in those matches that we had. I guess they were over relatively quick, although it should be over quick even if I do win. Look at this clown, he doesn't even have a pet. What, did he just start playing the game and he's still gonna beat my dumbass? So it'd be cool to win in a toxic sense too, like have to play a total of 5 cards. That's a real win condition, which shouldn't be too hard with these low cost things that I have here. My schedule is so laughably fucked up, though. This is my Monday stream. I'm doing it on Tuesday. Then I'll do my Tuesday stream. Like, next now, I'll do fucking chess. We had that epic match last week, though, against Gerardo. Longtime viewer for the first time in a long time. And I actually won. Not that it means much, but... at the very least, it was interesting to see that this could be where the botting comes in. Like, he's AFKing out in the first move like that one chick, but I don't know. I don't really feel too much like people are bots in this game. But maybe. Maybe my decks are so bad that it ends up feeling competitive even at that level. It feels like this game is popular enough that it wouldn't need bots. I always hate that with some games. Like, you know, oh, World of Tanks, you know, you're playing it for the first time and you're playing against only bots. But it's like, why would you even need to do that? Because there's so many players playing the game. It's because of some matchmaking kind of shit that they want to do. Like, oh, well, you're new, so we don't want to matchmake you against better players. I'd rather get my ass beat than play against bots. Right? I'd rather lose to real people than beat bots, basically, is the point. But then with all the AI innovations that we have today, it's going to be pretty soon where you're actually able to not be able to tell the difference, or where playing against AI will just be as satisfying or feel as natural as playing against real players. You won't even be able to tell the difference. in before there'll be some big controversy where people feel so betrayed, like, oh, this company lied to me for 5 years and I thought I was playing against other people, but I really wasn't. And it exposes the whole farcical nature of multiplayer games, that like something is more meaningful than it would be otherwise, just because you know you're beating other people or playing against other people. So that sort of artifice is a design shortcut, like doing the same map over and over with the same mechanics over and over, like COD or Overwatch or whatever, right? With the same limited scope of mechanics. You could never get away with that in a single player game, but you can in a multiplayer game because, oh, you know, you're beating other people, so it's an ego thing, or you're having like some sort of other social element. I guess you could verify with voice chat, and before that becomes AI generated voice chat too to simulate players. Like, you'd be surprised how far these companies would go. That's what GTA 6 is spending all the money for, to create this online experience. Or GTA 6, did I say GTA 4? I should have done Turgrid. At least looks like a reasonably paced type of game. This you'd have to block with 2 of them, and you could of course still kill it, but this guy's green deck is almost as bad as mine, but it's must mean it's a bot. It shouldn't have still done 2 damage to that? Like, sure, it wouldn't have killed it, but I don't get it. And why was the 3rd one even necessary? Wasn't that a 2 attack? I don't know what happened.
Do not underestimate the forest because of its beauty.
Oh, that's a good line. I've seen them before, but I don't remember that line.
Can fight their own battles.
Because they talk so quiet, almost like ASMR versus ASMR competing with my Blue Yeti mic right now that I'm using. I do like this, but it might be too little too late to actually benefit from it. You even have reach with that. Even green clowns me with not letting the flying take advantage, but at least that's a little... Would take him a little while to get there.
We will help you find safety.
Eminem's being real quiet since they dropped this card, am I right? It should be like Ren and Sven though, not 7. I'm probably gonna lose, but the real victory is because I got the daily quest done, so that's at least okay. He's gonna have like some crazy proliferate combo that you can just do in one turn and just finish them off, but you see that I barely get through much of my decks because either I lose so fast or I win so fast, of course, but also the fact that I'm able to not really cycle through my deck adequately, which any good quality deck is obviously going to do. Wait, am I still using display capture or did I switch? I don't even remember. No, I'm actually display capturing this. Look at that shit, dude. Hold on. Yeah, I'll just play one game then as the red to see that I'm actually able to... whatever. See which one basically does better here, because this is gonna lose, and it'll be a tie again, and we'll have to do it till the end of time, or we'll continue this exciting matchup for the bronze in the next episode. Not that this really was almost feel like I'm not even trying in some of these. Like, I could still block it there, I could still stall it out, but whatever. Yeah, see, that's what people complain about in the meta of any game, like, oh, you know, everybody uses the same deck, but also, those same people complaining also use the same deck. And you might say, well, it's inevitable because you have to be able to equalize the fact that, you know, oh, if you don't, you'll get destroyed, but there's other ways to enjoy a game. Either playing at low ranks, or playing casual, or playing like in some sort of a, you know, fun theme deck sort of format that they can do specifically for that reason. It's kind of what Hearthstone Twist Mod is actually attempting to do. But then people will still metagame that, but at least they're metagaming within a different confines. And if they create all these different rule sets every time, like you can only use X certain cards. Like you can only use dinosaurs in this format, or you can only use minions, or you can only use spells or whatever. If you do that, then what ends up happening is, even if you metagame it, there's only so much that people are going to figure out in that amount of time or actively know. And so, you know what I mean? Like it's almost meta proof a little bit, and it'll be over so quick, like within a month, let's say, that by the time people get familiar with that, it's already something different. So that's the best way to play around the metagaming of people, I guess, is to just keep pulling it out from under them a little bit. Surely that must be done now. Surely. Okay, good. Real emphasis on black there, so I would almost have enough to get the 10k, so I could almost do another 10k draft. I definitely won't do it next time, but at least I have the option to. So it doesn't actually seem that bad if you actually, number one, do your daily quest, and number two, actually do your whatever, don't waste your shit on cosmetic stuff. Although, to be fair, maybe it had been a long time since I should actually gotten one. Like, I had that dragon from Sarkhan from, like, last year, the end of last year. And just when I finally started playing as red, I wanted to get that to match it. And the avatar is kind of cool. Okay, and yeah, I'm even defending the game and saying, oh, it's not that buggy or this or that, and then it crashes on me right there. Yeah, that's really confusing, though. If the Steam version is especially bad, I wonder why that really is. Like, what about the Steam version is really that crazy? Like, why would it be that different anyway? This is like concept art. You're turning concept art into a card back. That, or like the little scribble drawings of the lands that look like they're made by little interns, kids or something of the game. Or even in Pokemon, what was so bad? It looks like a little fucking toy they bought off eBay and just took a picture of it, like in the woods, like Execute or somebody. Or the, whatever, excellent guy who comes before Execute. I want to execute the guy who made that picture, am I right? Made that into a card bag. Go phase, use the flying. It's just not very efficient stuff, you know. That's almost all I'm doing. Like, I want to play stuff with flying and just go face and just win that way. That they can't do anything about it. Which arguably you might not be able to, but when it's such shitty value as red tends to be, that can definitely be a problem. I mean, unless you have some reach or removal, this could be trouble for you. Convoke, flying haste, which is arguably not worth it, but it's kind of worth it. This is better than using Convoke in like a green deck because all my minions give me mana anyway, so it's redundant. Or sometimes it's even worse than redundant because it'll give you 2 mana or 3 mana for some of these minions. So would you rather Convoke it, or would you rather, you know, Convoke it for 1 or tap it for 2, basically?
Harmony with nature.
I can still win just from flying alone because of how stupid 100 card named Regal Force onto the battlefield. We'll bait them and give them false hope that they might be able to do that. This guy's totally photobombing the whelp. You make it think like he's the, you know, he's the minion. Or maybe in some metaphorical sense, he is a dragon whelp. You're that guy, you're a whelp, like you're a peasant. And you happen to be that guy who's always using dragons, or always has a dragon on his shoulder. I'm not going to die here, and I should maybe be able to win next turn with just the flying shit alone. So imagine how you'd feel there. Like, I didn't do anything to earn that victory, but you just don't have reach, or you just don't have flying, so you're just fucked. But that's always what's funny with like a counterplay argument. Like, oh, well, in order to deal with this mechanic, you have to have the exact counter for it. But like, how are you gonna have a counter for every single mechanic in the fucking game if they're doing them at like a high level? Too bad, dude. The dragon with no wings, a worm. can also be written WYRM. So what's the difference between a WURM and WYRM? I have no idea. Regal Force. Because you can't do it yet, so I think you might just lose. Still doesn't matter. Or actually, it might matter a little bit. But now everybody's tapped, so you're still gonna lose. What a stupid way to win. So red comes out on top. So our ranking for the day is going to be a consideration of green number 1, red number 2, and black number 3. But at least he got the daily quest done. So who is the real victor here? Like, what a stupid thing, dude.